A couple weeks ago, I was in downtown San Diego on 5th Street, and I remember I was walking through the buildings, and I remember thinking how huge these buildings were. When you're driving by San Diego, it doesn't really look like it's that big, but it's a big city. It's really busy. There's huge buildings. There's the airport that flies right through the city. There's Coronado Island. There's Cabrillo National Monument. There's so much going on in San Diego, and the whole time I was there, I just kept thinking about how big the city was. And really, just thinking about how big the city was, it got me thinking about how big God is. And I started to think about how big God is, and really I started thinking about faith and faith in God. And if you don't know, faith is pretty much just completely trusting in God and doing something about it. It's about believing in God and then putting action to your belief. In the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verses 4 in the New Living Translation, it says, "Look at the proud. They trust in themselves and their lives are crooked. But the righteous will live by their faithfulness in God." When I was in San Diego, I was looking at this, and in the New King James Version, it says that the righteous will live by faith. And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, in my life, am I really living by faith everywhere that I can? Am I really living in faithfulness to God in every area of my life? Now think about it. When you're walking into school or when you're walking into work, are we really living by faith that God is gonna turn some things around in our lives? That God is gonna put us in touch with the right person that'll get us favor to where we wanna go? Are we living by faith that God is gonna help us out? Are we living by faith that God is gonna find the right person that we can help out, that we can speak into, that we might possibly get saved that day? We can look at it this way. Are we living by faith that God is going to protect us? Or are we living by faith that God is going to give us wisdom to make the right choices day by day? That when we go out, we're not thinking that something might happen or that something's around the corner, but we're thinking that no matter what's happening, God's got my back, that I'm going to make the correct choice to get to the right place. And I was thinking about this in my own life, and really, to tell the truth, the answer was no. And I think that as Christians, I think there are a lot of Christians that do go out and live by faith day by day, but I also think there are a lot of Christians that kind of say, whatever happens, happens. And really, we have God in our lives. We should never have to live by whatever happens, happens. We should always be able to live by God's promises. We should always be able to live with faith in God every single day of our lives, that God is going to protect us, that God is going to lead us to the right people, that God is going to put favor in our lives, that God is going to just be there 24/7 with us. Whatever we walk into, whatever we walk out of, God is going to be there. I believe that as Christians, we're better than where we're at right now. I believe that there are ways that we can't even think of, that God knows exactly what to do, and all we need to do is pray, and our lives are just going to get infinitely better. Our lives are just going to explode with just amazingness. I'm trying to even think of a word to describe how good it could be, but it's funny because when you think about it, it's hard to think about how much better your lives can get. I think everybody kind of gets in that place where you get comfortable and you kind of get in this place, this steady life, if you know what I mean. It's like a steady day by day life, a steady routine, and you kind of get stuck there and you kind of get happy with it. But really, there's so much more that we could be doing. There's so much more that God could make us better. Is it really hard or too hard to think that God can give us a better job that we actually like, that is paying us more money than we're actually making, that can pay us more money to get the life that we want, to help the people that we want? Is it really hard to think that God can change your grades around at school? God can help you out, and really all we have to do with faith in this is pray to God and then do something towards that faith. We have to do something about it. We have to pray to God and then do something. And it's that simple. Praying to God can completely change our lives. Living by faith, believing in God, can make things so much better for us. I want to read this verse again in my Message Bible. It's still totally torn up, but it's one of my favorites. In Habakkuk chapter 2 again, it says, "Look at that man, bloated by self-importance, full of himself, but his soul is empty. But the person in right standing before God, through loyal and steady believing, is fully alive." Really alive. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to start living my life in faith. I'm going to start trying to apply every area that I possibly can with faith in God, because life is going to get so much better. Life is going to be so much better. And I'm just excited to see what happens. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Pretty cool.